What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video in the next episode of the MotoGP career mode, part number 27 today, round number 5 of season 2 of the MotoGP 25 career mode for the Spanish Grand Prix at Jerez. If you missed the start, the flyaway leg of the Moto2 World Championship, I recommend you go back and check it out because it's been a bit of a roller coaster since joining the Moto2 World Championship. We're still yet to stand on that podium, and hopefully this is where the season starts. We're back at the beloved Jerez circuit, Angel Nieto in Spain, and we're hopefully going to turn our season around after what has been a tricky start to it after crashing out in Qatar last time out and struggles in Argentina and America as well. But we need to put that to bed and focus on the here and now and focus moving forward as we return to mainland Europe for the European leg of the Moto2 World Championship. And it starts here in Jerez with Q2, our first, I want to say, direct pass into Q2 since Argentina, round 2 of the season. Holgado, Ortola, Roberts and Binder, they join us in Q2 after passing through qualifying 1. But if we were on top in practice, and let's see if we can try and maintain that momentum going into qualifying here at the Circuito de Jerez aboard our Italtrans machine. So here we go then, we're qualifying in Jerez as we drop into the final corner, the Lorenzo corner, turn 13, and then power the Triumph 765 machine out of the final corner and towards the finish line under the UFO, and we're going to start the lap, and let's see what we can do as we bounce over the, I want to say the imaginary dirt path, that's what I call it, and that's the speed glitch in the Moto2 World Championship. You can hear the revs rise as we went under the UFO. We jumped off what I can only describe as an invisible imaginary dirt path, and yeah, the revs rise and the speed went back to normal. But that lap, as you can see, interfered with Joe Roberts and Lopez coming out of the pits. And this lap, we've got a Grassini bike, it's Darren Binder coming out of the pits as well, and we did very well between myself and the South African there to actually avoid each other and not make contact. But it's not been an ideal start to Q2 because both of our first flying lap attempts have been interrupted and disrupted. But we come to the end of that lap where we got impeded by Darren Binder across the line, and it's going to be a 1 minute 40.2, so we are still a fraction of a second quicker than Diogo Moreira at the end of that first run, but it is a 140.2. We need to be really in the mid to low 39s. That's the sort of times that we can do on the Moto2 around here, so that's the target, and already nearly a second under our best lap through the first sector with no traffic in the way. So let's see what we can do this time round as we drop into Cito Pons, turn number 5, this long right-hander that seems to go on forever before it fires you onto this back straight as a couple more lap times come in, and by the time that we get round to the final section of the track, which is a horrible section of the track there on that occasion, and we actually clip the inside and invalidate the lap. So our provisional pole lap, which is now being taken by Philip Salach on the Mark VDS bike on 139.550, was abruptly ended by touching the green at the inside of the Ferrari corner. But not to be that time round. Let's see what we can do this time as we cross the line to start another lap. This time hooked up right behind Darren Binder. We get the apex at turn 1, and this time, fingers crossed, we might be in the mix here as we can actually get a lap time worthy of a respective position. 14th at the minute, but as we run out onto the green, that lap is also going to be canned, and we're going to have to go again at the end of session. But this time we've missed turn 1. It's not been the start to this Q2 session that we'd hoped for. We're putting ourselves under pressure as we're trying desperately to find a lap and piece a lap together. We do pick up time in the first sector because obviously we were held up on our first flying lap run, but not the good start that we needed, not the start that we needed at all. And it's been a bit of a struggle for our teammate as well. He's down in 9th position, just ahead of Joe Roberts, who currently rounds out the top 10. But at the minute, it has been a very, very messy Q2 session for the number 57. And for us, it gets worse because we missed turn number 9, and now into the final corner, we're wide again. But we're going to just set up the next lap and try and get the exit out of the final corner. We're going to improve this time by a couple of tenths, but the next lap is really what we're focusing on, the final lap of the session. We're up into P8. We dispense and dispatched Moreira down to 10th place and Binder down to 9th and Roberts outside of the top 10. But our focus is on the front row here. We've got the pace to do it. We just need to put the lap together, and that is what is being our Achilles heel in this 15-minute Q2 session. But we come out of the first sector, and it's only a personal best in the first and the second sector, so we're not on course at the minute to beat Filip Salac, and we're wide again at Angel Nieto, turn number 9. It's not been the qualifying session that we've been really hoping for, and Diogo Moreira is on provisional pole position with the lap that he is on at the minute. I think he's just ahead of us on the circuit as we come through Ferrari for the final time. We get the power down, we get onto the brakes into Lorenzo corner, the final corner on the track. Much better this time. Moreira does jump up onto the front row, I think, provisional front row for him as we cross the line. Where is this time going to put us? We go to pole position. Well, we left it late, but it is pole position, and we do push our teammate off of the front row, but we got there in the end. It took a while, but we got there in the end. It's our first pole in Moto2, if I'm not mistaken, and it comes at Jerez. 84 thousandths of a second over Filip Salac. Arenas rounds off the front row, and our teammate in 4th position. And as we head to Sunday morning race time in Jerez, you can see the conditions a little bit similar to what it were in qualifying. Overcast conditions here at the Circuito de Jerez Angel Nieto. 22 degree air temperature, 33 degrees Celsius on the track. And that is perfect conditions to go racing in Moto2. We're going to take a gamble though with the tyre choice. We are going to run the soft tyres. I think everybody around us will go for the mediums, but we know that the medium has that little temperature glitch, the tyre glitch on the Moto2 bike. And we're going to go with a soft tyre, which might pay dividends if we can look after the tyre. We need to be cautious in the opening couple of laps to try and use the tyre in the smartest way. Get the most from it without using too much of the tyre. So that is going to be our strategy. That's going to be our game plan for the Moto2 race here in Jerez. Let's see what we can do. We started from pole position. As long as we get a good start and get in the mix, we can try and use the other riders around us to help us save the tyre. So it's going to be soft front, soft rear. That's the tyre strategy that we're going for in Jerez. Let's see if that strategy pays off. It might be a difficult one. We have to wait and see. The tyres could drop off bigger than I'm expecting, but we're about to find out as we go towards 7 laps of the Jerez race circuit, and we are underway, and it's not a good start as Salac burst into the lead of the race. Arenas also firing through. Moreira, our teammate, side by side in towards turn number 1, but we're going to hold P3 as Arenas shuffles and forces Salac wide, and we're back into 2nd position, but it's Arenas who takes the lead as he runs into turn 2 a little bit hot. We try and get the inside line to see if we can cut under the Spaniard. No way through though, and it's the Grassini man, the number 75, our preferred number in the Moto2 world, but Arenas has taken it. He leads the way. We're 2nd, Salac 3rd, Moreira 4th, and that's Lopez on the Red Bull bike in 5th position. So good start for Lopez as well, but it's Arenas out front, and he's going to now look to try and get the breakaway. We've got to obviously keep in mind that we've got these soft tyres. We need to keep these soft tyres under us as we look to the inside into the Dani Pedrosa corner. No way through though, not close enough to the back of that Grassini Calex bike. But yeah, we need to bear in mind that we need to try and get these tyres through the early stages of the race. So we're going to try and be as smart as possible, use the tyre in the places where we can use the tyre, and look after the tyre at the places where we need to look after the tyre. That is the game plan here in Jerez. And as you can see already, Arenas streaking away through those left-handers where we were a little bit more cautious and a little bit more steady. We lost a lot of time to Albert Arenas, half a second to be exact, and that might just be the story of the race. And listen to how gently and cautious we're trying to be through these right-handers, not spinning the tyre, using as much of the traction as possible without spinning the rear Pirelli tyre. And we actually managed to claw a little bit of time back on Arenas, so that might be it might be the benefit. We might not spin the tyre but still gain a little bit of time on Arenas, who is spinning the tyre. It's going to be a little bit cat and mouse, I think, in this opening stages of the race. But the good news is as well, we are opening a gap to Salac behind. So as we extend the gap behind, Arenas is extending the gap out front. And as you can see on lap number 4, he is now 1.8 seconds up the road as he just disappears into the distance. But he is using the tyre. We're yet to really knuckle down and set some competitive lap times, because we're just trying to tick off this first half of the race, see where we are, and then lay down a marker in the second phase of this Grand Prix. And we're now starting to pick up a little bit of time. Personal best through this first sector, and a 2/10 under our best lap time of the race, which is the 140.6. A 140.2 though for Albert Arenas early on, and as you can see, the last lap we dropped into the 141s, a whole second slower than our second lap as we look after the tyre. But I've found now that we can kind of do the mid 140s and we'll be alright on the tyre life, because we're halfway through and the tyres have still got a decent amount of life to them. So that's kind of the game plan as we head through turn 7 and take a quick look back at our fellow Brit Jake Dixon, who has crashed out of the race. He's gone down from about 8th position. Dixon is out and his race has come to an early end in Spain. It's not the result that he wanted, and now Marc VDS's hopes lie on Filip Salac, who's currently running in P3 just behind us. We were a little bit wide there at turn 9 again, and again that's just a little bit of an issue that we've got with this bike, struggling to get it stopped into those sort of corners where you're coming from a change of direction, you're coming from a left, you're coming into a right, you're going down the gearbox, the bike is pushing its way into turn 9, and we just keep running a little bit wide there, and we're just giving up a little bit of time as we come out of the final corner for the 4th time to start lap number 5 of the Spanish Grand Prix. It's Arenas who remains out front. Here he is as we head up in towards turn number 1. We're in 2nd place, Salac is 3rd, and then it's the battle of Moreira, Lopez and Holgado, and they're fighting hard for 4th position. But Arenas, you can see from the helicam, the gap that the Spanish rider has at his home Grand Prix, he's controlling it, and I feel like the more that we're going to try and chase him down, the more that we're going to hurt our tyres, but it doesn't need to happen because he's gone down. Arenas has crashed out of the lead of the Spanish Grand Prix, and the Gresini rider has thrown away a potential victory in Spain. We could see how hard he was pushing on, and he's pushed too far, and he's down and out of the Spanish Grand Prix. It's a disaster for Albert Arenas, and it's jubilation for us because it's put us into the lead of the race here in Jerez by half a second over Filip Salac. So now all of a sudden, the battle that was going on for 2nd place is now the battle for the lead of the race, as Dennis Onchu now crashes out of the race at the final corner. He's crashed from 3rd. So Onchu has thrown away a podium position, and this is what happened to the Turkish rider. Oh, he's lost the front for an absolute week. How did he hang on for that for so long? And unfortunately, it wasn't to be. And Dennis Onchu slides out of the Spanish Grand Prix as well. So lap number 5 claims Albert Arenas. And now the Blue Crew Pramac VR46 rider, Dennis Onchu, who has crashed yet again. Remember, he was leading the Argentinian Grand Prix a few rounds ago. And crashed on the last lap of the race or something from the lead of the Grand Prix. It's not to be for Onchu so far this season. He crashed in America as well at turn 1. It's just not happening for Onchu at this moment in time on that Bosco chassis. He came from the KTM bike and is now on that Bosco, and it just isn't happening for him as we bounce our way into turn number 2 at the start of the final lap of the race, and a mistake into turn 2, and that just brings Filip Salac back into contention really. We lost a good 0.8 of a second on our own time, and Salac has cut that gap in one corner from a second down to a couple of tenths of a second, and less than a tenth of a second as we head into turn number 5. There he is, appearing at the bottom of the screen through Sito Pons. We get the good exit though, and we're going to be just ahead of him by the time we get to the braking zone. There's not much in it at all as we hit the brakes for Danny Pedrosa corner at the end of the straight, but it is going to be side by side as we come out of the Danny Pedrosa corner, but we maintain the lead. We cut over his nose through turn 7, and now we need a good run through the Martinez Aspar corner. We need a good run through turn 8. We do get an okay run. We're a little bit wide. We'll bring it back for a late apex, stand the bike up and use all of the tyre now through this final section of the track. How careful were we there into the Angel Nieto corner, turn number 9. We get through there safely. We hit both of the apexes, and we do put a little bit of daylight between myself and Salac, with a battle for 3rd raging on behind. Lopez hanging on to that over our teammate Moreira, and Danny Holgado's there as well in 5th position. But at the minute, it looks like your podium is going to be myself, Salac and Lopez, unless Moreira can launch a final corner attack. But we come through the final corner and we are going to take victory. Our first podium of the year comes in the form of a victory, and we are victorious in Spain for the first time this season. And our first victory in career mode since Mazzano episode 16. So 11 episodes we've gone without taking victory in a MotoGP career mode episode. And we've turned that around today with victory in Jerez and our first of the season. As we head down the order, you can see crashes and DNS for Dixon and Onshu. Arenas recovered to 12th position. Aaron Canet, only 15th place for him on the speed up bike. A disaster round for him and a very, very rough run of form for Canet after a long lap penalty in Qatar and then a very tough race here in Jerez. But that win puts us into P5 and 33 points behind our teammate as we continue to lead the team's championship as well. 45 points over the Liqui Moly Dynavolt Intact team of their riders, Vietti and Senna Agius. But there we go, that is it for the Jerez Grand Prix. Celebrations in the Parc Ferme for myself and the team as we finally stand on the top step and we get a reminder of what it feels like to be a victor in the MotoGP career mode. Victory in Jerez for ourselves and a podium completed by Philip Salash on a Mark VDS bike and Alonso Lopez with his new Red Bull KTM IO team. But there we go, 25 points in the bag and simply lovely stuff here at Jerez. If you enjoyed the episode, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and I will see you with episode number 28 for the French Grand Prix at Le Mans very soon. So until then, thank you for watching and goodbye.